This video is going to go over the setup and arrangement of LAMP, Words for Life. LAMP Words for Life is a communication app that is used to support our students who have difficulty with verbal communication. And it is a very robust system that is, the foundation of it is language acquisition through motor planning, which is what the LAMP initials stand for, language acquisition through motor planning. And so the philosophy in the arrangement of the vocabulary is that each word has a unique motor pattern, so that much like when we are typing on a keyboard or using our telephones, we develop some automaticity that supports the efficiency of what it is that we're trying to say. The other advantage that LAMP has is that it exhibits a lot of core vocabulary on the home screen, and it has a specific arrangement that allows the user to create sentences word by word, just like we do when we speak verbally, as opposed to using phrases of things that have already been programmed into the device. So LAMP is classified as a generative communication device. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at it. You can see here on the home screen that we have a number of buttons that are available. Across the top on the left, we see vocabulary, and on the right, we see menu. When we touch on vocabulary, you can see that there is it says choose new vocabulary. When we open that up, there's a number of vocabularies there that can be turned on the device. So we have the LAMP one hit, transition, full, and then we also have the Spanish English one hit and the Spanish English full. And then below that we would see customized vocabulary, and you can see here we have a customized vocabulary. The reason that's important is because these upper files, these top files, are not editable. Those are the foundational vocabularies, and they cannot be changed, so that you can restore your device if you need to. But the vocabularies that are created from copies can be edited, and that's what we do with our students. We create a copy and then edit it to customize it according to their needs. So when we look here, we see edit, and we see edit on the left and menu on the right. If you touch menu on the right, you can copy a vocabulary, and you can then produce a vocabulary that you can edit. And we're going to go ahead into our customized vocabulary just so that you can see in part of this video how you will be able to customize it. So when we look at the arrangement of LAMP, you see across the top row that there are some buttons that they're mostly white buttons. The color of the background is significant in this application. The text, the case of the words that are typed is also significant in this application. So when we look at this screen, we see some buttons that have all lowercase letters and some that have some uppercase letters that are labeling the button. And we see across the top again just some quick words that are frequently used by an individual, so that those are there. On the left side, we see the pronouns colored by yellow backgrounds. We see the verb conjugated in the green across the third row down, across kind of the middle of the device. Then we see the blue background, which has to do with the adjectives or descriptor words. And above the blue background words on the right, we see the orange background, which has to do with nouns. And then down below that, in all the white buttons, we have core words. And core words are those words that are used most frequently in our conversation on a day-to-day basis across context. So core words are used by everyone across all contexts, and the developers of LAMP wanted to give access to that vocabulary on a quick basis. When you look at the picture representation, the pictures have multiple meanings, and some of them are a little bit confusing when you're first looking at them, and then once you figure out what's going on, it's like an aha moment. But honestly, most people don't use the pictures once they get started, because that premise, again, the underlying philosophy is that motor plan. But if you look, for example, at, let's take the play button, which has the 2 dice on it. When you think about that picture, think about the way that dice are. Dice have to do with play. Obviously, there's the word play, so that's going to be a primary word. They're small. There's different characteristics about playing games and verbs that might be associated with that. So let's activate play, and you'll see that the screen changes. And you can see that across that middle section where we had the green conjugated to be verb before, now we have the verb play, plays, playing, and played. To me, that is probably one of the most critical parts of this program, because on most of the other programs, the individual is unable to easily create the correct form of the verb for what they're trying to say. And so it might be that you wanted to say that I played something, but on the other vocabularies, it's hard to find that past tense. Whereas in LAMP, if you hit play, you're going to find all those conjugations right there. So there's the green. You can see, again, I had mentioned about the uppercase versus the lowercase. Let's look at the buttons at the top. So remember, those were the fringe words or the quick response words. So if we look at the button for games in that upper left corner, you see that the word is in all uppercase, which means that it's not going to say the word games. But when you touch games, it's going to take you to a page that has a lot of games on it. Now, this is kind of where you get into that customization. So if these games aren't games that the child uses, or they have additional games that they do play and you want to add it in there, you can add those into these empty buttons. But we'll talk more about when to add something a little bit later. Well, let's go back, and we're going to hit the play button again, and then you can see what are some things associated with play. Toys. So we have our toys and games here up in the orange as our nouns. We have descriptor word easy, easier, easiest in the blue as a descriptor. And then down along the bottom we see verbs like match, win, party. And I want you to anticipate now. I'm going to hit the word match. And so we see that in the upper left. And so that's a verb. We're going to match. So a lot of our students are matching, right? So when I touch match, it's not going to say the word match, but it's going to conjugate it there in that verb section. So always the verbs are going to be conjugated in that third row down from the top. And you can see that the child could choose matching as opposed to just saying match. So let's go back again, and we're going to hit the play button again. Let's look down on the lower right corner where we see the blue background and the word difficult. So a game is easy, easier, or easiest, or it could be difficult. And see how it has the blue background. And let's notice the blue background where easy, easier, and easiest is. And when I hit the button for difficult, because not all games are easy, we're going to find difficult, more difficult, and most difficult are going to be in there. So when we hit those buttons, if it's blue, it's always going to be in that third row, and it's going to be conjugated there. So that is how the arrangement of vocabulary is set up. And then again, each word in this program has a unique location, a unique motor plan. So it's critical that each word is only in the device one time so that the individual can use that motor plan. So let's look at some of the more common things that kids might do. Games is one of them. Let's look at things like to go somewhere, because go is probably the most common core word that is used by people on a regular basis. You think about, we go places, you tell people to go. We use go in a lot of different ways. So I'm going to hit go. And there we see the verb conjugated across the middle, just like we described before. There is another verb over here on the right that is hurry. And if we hit hurry, it's going to conjugate it across that middle part. Up in the top row, where we have that fringe language, we see the building. And notice that that's all in uppercase. And then we have these other ones that are in lowercase that if we hit that button, it would say the word. So let's say school.
School.
And hopefully you could hear that on the recording, that it did say the word school. So let's go to go, and now we're going to hit building and see what buildings show up. So those are all the buildings that show up for the that are underneath the word go. That we might go to a building, we might go to a hardware store, we might go to a salon, we might go to church or a temple or wherever. So those are all places that you might go. So again, you could put the generic representation for places that the student goes that aren't represented here. You could add those in. If there's some specific places, what we would want to do is to see if it's already in the device. So let's say that your child likes to go to hippotherapy. So that may be something that's in here. It might be under a different place, or it might be not in the device. So we're going to go to the blue button that has spell in uppercase and tap on that. And then in this top row, you're going to see a purple button that says Word Finder. And we're going to tap on that, and we're going to type hippotherapy. So let me type. I'm typing on my keyboard. So hippotherapy is horseback riding therapy. Let's find it. And it says the word is not found. So that word is not in the device. So then we want to make sense of where it might be. So we can go and put it in buildings under those places, or we can also think about something else like speech therapy. Let's see if there's speech therapy. And that's not found either. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's just decide that we're going to put it in underneath those buildings. So that was under go. And then we have all of our places here. We could put it right here if it's a place that you go to often. So let's just say we're going to put it next to the bank so that it pops up, because that'll reduce the navigation. So we're going to touch menu, and we're going to go to edit page. And then we're going to touch on that blank button, and we are going to create a new button. And that button label is going to be hippotherapy. And it's going to be in lowercase because we want it to say the word, right? And then the button message is going to be hippotherapy. Let's listen to how it says it.
Hippotherapy. Hippotherapy.
Okay, it says it a little bit funny, so I'm going to do hip. Oops, I'm typing on my keyboard again. Hip-o-therapy.
Hippotherapy.
There we go. That sounds better. And let's go ahead and save that just to make sure it doesn't disappear when we are trying to work on it. And then I'm going to edit this button. So we're going to select an image, and we're going to search for an image. And there's nothing that shows up for hippotherapy, so I'm going to put in horse. And let's see if they can find a horse. Okay, so there's a horse. And let's go ahead and put that in there as our image. And then we're going to look down here and make sure that all the labels are the way that we want, and that the color of the background is going to be white like the others. And what we wanted to do is we're going to edit the actions, and we're going to let it just speak that message. Okay, so it's going to speak the message when we save it. So let's save it. And there's our horse button there on the upper right. We're going to say we're done. And now when I hit that button,
Hippotherapy.
we've got that button. So now when we're going to go to hippotherapy, we can say, I want to go to, and then I'm going to hit
hippotherapy.
and I can say my whole sentence there. I want to go to hippotherapy. So that in a nutshell is the arrangement of the vocabulary. We're going to briefly go through some common buttons again to show where some things are. So if a child needed to work on their body parts, when you look across the top row again to the right side, you see the word off, but you also see the Mr. Potato Head body parts there. If you touch on the body parts, you're going to get the words for all of the different body parts, the entire body, and the child would be able to tell you they had a headache or they had, whatever was going on with them. That's one of the big concerns parents have, is being able to understand when their child is feeling poorly. So that's a good one. When we look down at the lower part of the right side and we see the rainbow, there on the rainbow are all the colors, and then also those things that have to do with art supplies and things that they might be playing with. So we have that kind of vocabulary there. When we go to the bathtub and we see help, those are things that have to do with health. So you can see the words at the top that have to do with, needing an aspirin or a Band-Aid. What child doesn't need a Band-Aid, right? And then we have toiletries here that we can point to and then get to the toiletries section. We can go back and see the different verbs, and you see all those words in green with uppercase. So those are all those different verbs that are going to be conjugated where? Right there on that third row across the middle. So it's a very consistent pattern. So any of those verbs that you touch are going to be situated across that middle when you're trying to conjugate them. You can see that the noun that's associated with that is medicine, and the descriptor there's several descriptor words on this one. So we see wet is already conjugated there, and then we also have over on the left dry, and if I hit that button, it's going to put dry there. Healthy is another descriptor, and then down on the bottom you see dirty. So again, just think about these patterns, think about how the words show up, and know that so many of the words that we use are right here on this front screen, and that is the rationale for the LAMP setup. So as you explore those words, you can kind of figure out where they might be found. And if you can't find them, remember that there's always this button that says spelling and numbers and the word finder, and you can always check out that. Now, if there was a word in there, so let's say there was a word that we wanted to have that was in there, or we didn't know whether it was in there or not, but let's just say that it was in there. And let's say we were looking for the word breakfast. So let's type in breakfast. Okay, and now we're going to find it. So then this screen comes up and it shows you the sequence for finding the word breakfast. Eat, meals, breakfast, right? So now I'm going to tap on that, and it's going to show me with this screen shield that we go to the apple, eat, and then we go to meals up in that upper fringe, and then breakfast is going to be here on the left.
Breakfast.
So there we go. So now we can do it on our own, and we can say breakfast, eat, and then it was meals, and then it was breakfast.
Breakfast.
So we get that motor plan, and we can model it, we can use it. A student can find their own words. So it's very helpful. And then the last thing I want to tell you about is the negatives, because sometimes you don't always want to say I like, I want. Sometimes you want to say I don't want to, right? So what you would do then is you would hit your pronoun and then hit on the lower left the not button, and see how that turns all the vocabulary into the negatives. So you can actually protest. And what child doesn't want to protest sometimes? So there are the ways that you can do that. I'm going to show you again. When I initially hit I, you can see all these are positive. I know, I like, I must, I have, I feel. But if I hit the not button, then it's I don't like, I mustn't, I haven't, I don't feel. So you can see that the child can also give that negative or protest by using their words. So again, I hope that this has been helpful in kind of giving you a brief overview to the program. And if I can be of more help, please don't hesitate to contact me at Eileen Garza at tomballisd.net. And thank you.